Millions of Russians living under a suffocating blanket of smog are hoping for a change in weather conditions, but forecasters say it's unlikely to come this week. For days, a thick layer of haze caused by forest and peat fires has been hanging over many cities. In Moscow, the death rate is double the average for this time of year, and hundreds of blazes are still burning nationwide, with other countries helping battle them. Artist Katerina Zarova reports from the Moscow region.
We're at one of so-called country villages just outside Moscow where people have their summer homes. It evidently used to be a really nice area. There was a forest and people had their homes looking out into that forest. It used to be obviously quite a nice place to be. Right now it looks like an inferno. There is no more forest. There's just charred land and felled trees. And here, this used to be someone's home. What's left of it is pretty unrecognizable because it's been charred to a cinder. This is somebody's bathtub. This is probably where the bathroom used to be of this house. As you can see, most of it is just charred remains and from where the firefighters were fighting the blaze, and so everything is just strewn around. This is part of a car. There is a completely burnt out car in the garage. This is obviously a part of it. We don't quite know how it got there and why. Just a little bit over there, that was probably the bedroom because we can see the charred remains of a bed lying down there, and this was evidently the kitchen. There's the remains of a stove and some other kitchen paraphernalia like kitchen utensils and various other things. So this was somebody's home. People lived there. People accumulated their possessions and they lost all of it in a matter of hours. One of the local residents here didn't want to go on camera, but he showed us mobile phone footage of when the fire started, and it was literally just a wall of fire as tall as the trees. It was terrifying, and they said that it all happened in almost a matter of seconds. There was almost literally nothing people could do. The fire spread from the trees to the houses, burning them down in seconds. People losing everything that they've been accumulating for their entire lives. Now they don't know what to do, how to start over again. And this, of course, is just one of the villages in Russia where such a terrible thing has happened all across the country, with the fires ravaging central Russia for over a month. Thousands of people have been left homeless, over 500 injured, and over 50 people have already lost their lives because of this terrible fire ravaging central Russia.
Well, that was a report by our correspondent Katerina Zarova, and now we can talk to Igor Piskunov, who is in the very center of the smog-stricken Russian capital. Igor, what is happening where you are at the moment? What's it like there? What are the breathing conditions there?
Well, Marina, the breathing conditions here are absolutely horrible. The environmental situation is critical. I'm standing just several hundred meters away from the Kremlin, and visibility is really poor. You could hardly see it. In fact, you can hardly see just several hundred meters in front of you. Now, the smog is still very thick, and they say that the levels of carbon dioxide double the norm at the moment, so people are strongly recommended to stay inside, to stay away from the streets, to use gas masks at all times when they are outside. They say that breathing this air for around 5 hours is really bad for your health, and the authorities are advising people to drink as much water as possible, and these conditions are especially bad and dangerous for people with heart and lung problems. And in fact, doctors are now saying that the number of deaths in Moscow's hospitals has doubled now, and they say that this is because of the environmental situation. Authorities have now organized these so-called smog centers across the city where water and gas masks are being distributed out to the population. Many people are trying to flee the capital to some of the areas where free of the smog. Some people are even going out on just early to their vacations, to some islands or wherever where there's no smog. And those people who had to stay in the capital, they are of course very concerned about this whole situation. Let's listen to what some of them had to say.
The smog is terrible. I can't breathe. It makes my eyes itch. And nothing helps no matter what we do, whether we wear masks or put wet curtains over the windows.
People shouldn't work in such conditions. The government must send them home. It's like a volcano eruption. There is ash in the air. It makes my throat sore, and it feels dreadful.
Everybody's hoping for a change in weather, for some rain perhaps, or for some wind that would blow the smog away from the city. But unfortunately, weather forecasts offer little hope, saying that this heat is going to stay and that the smog in the Russian capital may start disintegrating only in a couple of days. And for more on the environmental situation, I'm now joined by Vladimir Slivyak. Thank you very much for joining us. He is an environmentalist, an ecologist. And Vladimir, how bad is this situation?
Well, the situation is pretty bad right now. We have over 600 forest fires in the central Russia, and you see what we have in Moscow. And this is a very big threat to public health and to environment in general.
People are being given out these masks, and authorities say that the masks can save you from this pollution. But are they really effective?
Well, the medical masks are not really effective in this situation. But if we take gas mask, it would be relatively effective. It would be better for you to wear a gas mask right now.
And I would just like to explain to our viewers what a gas mask is and what's the difference between a medical mask. A gas mask has this opening here which has a filter. Basically, this is what you need, and not the masks that are being sold at pharmacies across the city. But just getting back to Vladimir here, Vladimir, could this situation have been prevented?
Well, we had a situation like this not in terms of forest fires, but in terms of the smog and the smoke. We had a situation like this back in 2002, and if government would be caring about this situation 8 years ago and through the last 8 years, it could be prevented. But right now we have a really bad situation across the country in terms of water supply, in terms of equipment supply needed for preventing fire spreading. But unfortunately, all this crisis shows that the Russian government do not have effective system of prevention and an effective system of basically well, not preventing, but when forest fires already going on, they're stopping forest fires. Now a lot of volunteers across the country joining governmental forces to fight with fire, but so far it doesn't really limit the fire. The spreading of forest fire is going on.
And what are the consequences? Lots of forests have now been burnt down, villages, and basically it's a huge blow to the environment. What are the consequences?
Well, many thousands of people already left without homes, many forests burns. Well, the very serious trouble is related to nuclear power plants because of the heat and forest fires. Some of the nuclear power plants has been shut down. Last week, the one reactor at the nuclear plant near Voronezh in the south of Russia was shut down last week. Another reactor at the Kalinin nuclear power plant, now called Tver region, the former Kalinin region, there was another shutting down of a reactor last week. And actually, according to insider information, we're expecting more shutting down of reactors at least 5 nuclear plants across Russia, which located in the center and the south of Russia. Another problem is that forest fires already approached the forests which contaminated radioactively after Chernobyl, and this is actually a big threat of spreading radioactivity around the country.
Vladimir, thank you very much for your time. I'm afraid this is all the time we have for now. This was Vladimir Slivyak, an ecologist, and saying just how bad the situation is and what consequences it may bring, the consequences that not many people may actually expect. Back to you, Marina.
All right, Igor, thanks very much for bringing us this from central Moscow. Igor Piskunov reporting there. Do stay safe and try not to spend too much time outside today.